Use the old Clark sandblaster there to clean off the exhaust and intake manifold. Does a pretty good job. Did the exhaust pipe too while I was at it. You saw it does a good job at taking off just about everything. Paint, rust. I'm going to shoot this with some high temperature paint. You know, to do that with like a wire brush is nearly impossible. I haven't used this in a long time actually. Just dug it out. You can see it's full of dirt, dust. Dug it out to do this. It's a time saver. Not even sure where I got this. I think Tractor Supply years and years ago, but I'm just running regular sand through it. I go up to my brother-in-law's. He's got a sand pile there. When it gets really dry, I'll go and I'll get sand, and then I use a piece of screen to sift it while I dump it in there. Works out pretty good. You gotta have dry sand, otherwise it'll get plugged up and you just have a mess. So it's gotta be really dry sand. But got that ready now, and I'm not sure what else I need to do here to get this ready to go. I need some plugs and some fittings and stuff like that. But oh, distributor too. Gotta drop that in. Okay, here's a look at the distributor. Gotta drop that in. You see it's got a little hole down. It's not very big. It's turned by a shaft, just like an oil pump on is turned on a engine. Gotta pull this shaft out right there, and apparently that turns it. That's the only thing that turns it. Normally on an engine there's a gear, but apparently it's just a shaft on this one. Got the engine on top dead center, so should be able to drop this in, point it at the #1 spark plug there, and should be good to go to start it. Okay, here's the shaft out of the motor. That goes into the motor. This goes up into the distributor like that, and it turns the distributor. Got slots there. I clean this up and drop it in the new motor. Okay, we're getting some more things done here. Got the power steering pump all painted. Got the exhaust manifold and the exhaust pipe painted. Got it on there, haven't torqued it down yet. I had to make some washers to bolt the exhaust manifold up. I had to notch some there. I'm waiting for that to cool right now, so I can get that on and torqued. Got the oil filter on. I got one hard line made. These were rubber lines. The reason I'm going to hard line is well, I broke one trying to get it off, and secondly, these are the rubber lines and they don't really look that great to me. If you're running this and this breaks and you don't know it and you run out of oil, we're going to ruin the motor. So I think it's better just to run some hard line. I think it's going to be better all around. Not sure what else. I've got all the plugs in the motor. Got a fitting for the block heater. Head to plug there. There's another little plug down there. I got a fuel block off plate. A little bit of chrome on here. I don't know why a forklift needs chrome, but that's all they had was a chrome one. So So I'm gonna continue on here, and I'm gonna start making the second line. This is the feed line. I'm guessing that this is the return line. It's got to go to that fitting right there. So I got to go up, kind of hug the block here, go around here because the belt goes up and around here. So it's gonna be a little tougher than that one, but I'll get her done here. It might take a little longer, but I'll get her. Okay, I painted them exhaust manifolds with this high temp paint. I've done this before on headers, and really probably get a couple years out of this thing, being it doesn't see salt or nothing. Probably a couple years before it'll start rusting again. I mean, if you want it to last, you'd probably have to send it in and have it like powder coated or something. But it's just not worth it. I don't think the forklift is worth it. This will last long enough, and you know, it'll look good enough for a forklift. So that's what I did on that. We're just gonna leave the muffler. It's down in the frame anyway, so just a waste of paint. This stuff is fairly expensive, so. Okay, there's my second line in place here. This is how it's gonna route. Goes from there, around here, around up there, and into this fitting. I ain't got my fitting made yet. It's just sitting there. Tips on bending your own line. Well, if it's the first time you're doing it, you better get a bunch of extra line, because this is not the easiest thing to do. One thing that would help is you can get yourself some wire and kind of make a template. This is kind of what I did to start out with, is I made it a template of kind of where the line went, and then you use this to start bending your line. But that ain't gonna get you get the whole thing done. A lot of it's just kind of tweaking, and you got to mark which way the bends go, because they don't just stay in a straight line. You know, the bends go this way and then that way and back and forth and up. You know, there's all kinds of different angles they can go, so it's not the easiest thing to do. Kind of got to get familiar with your bender to know what that's going to do and how that's going to bend your line. You know, you got to know where to put your marks. So it's something you kind of gotta do and get the hang of, because it is definitely not as easy as it sounds. So I'm going to get this end on this one now. Maybe I'll set you up so you can watch me put a flare on that, and you see how that's done. Okay, here's my tube out. This is what you cut it off to what length you need it. Slide your fitting on there. Do not forget to put your fitting on. I've done that before, and then that makes this whole line junk because you ain't got your fitting on there. But this is what it looks like here, and I'll show you this is the fitting you're trying to get. That's what you want. It goes in there, and this tightens down, and the seal happens inside that dish there. So that's what I need to get on this end. And I'll show you how I'm going to do that. First I'll show you the tool, I guess. Okay, here's the tool that I'm going to be using to make this flare. You can see it's kind of a bit of a contraption. You got one of these deals here that screws down. You got a clamp. You're going to clamp your tube into here. I'll show you how it all goes together. I'm working with 1/4 inch line, so I'm going to choose the 1/4 inch. If you can see that, it's already on. And you got to have a die, a 1/4 inch die. And this is so you don't crush your pipe when you start making the end. Oops, just lost my fitting. This is going to go into here like this, and then you're going to crush that down. I'll show you here. Okay, I got my line inside the deal there. You can see. I'm going to put my die in there, like so. I'm going to bring this thing around here, and I'm going to crush that down. I'm just going to flatten that all the way down. Until it's all the way down. I'm going to release it here. Normally you don't do this in the vise. You pull the die out. Now you can see it's kind of funny shaped there. It ain't got the concaveness. Well, we're going to run this tool, run this down in there, and this is going to make the shape that actually seals the You want to tighten that up good and tight. Release your fitting. And I've got a flare there. The camera will focus here. Come on, camera, focus. There it is. You got a flare just like on the other end. And that's how you make a custom, I guess this is an oil line, but brake line, fuel line, you know, whatever you need to make, that's how you do it. And it really helps to have all your stuff in place, exhaust and whatever you're going to have there. Otherwise you'll come up with a surprise and you'll have to remake your line. But anyway, this is done, and we'll move on to the next thing. Okay, I got the exhaust and intake manifold torqued down to 25 to 30 pounds. I went 28 pounds. I start in the middle and work my way out with that manifold. I think that's pretty standard on something like that. Gauges. This thing has a water temp, amp meter, and a fuel gauge. We don't need the fuel gauge anymore because we're going to propane. So we're going to put an oil pressure gauge, amp gauge, and a water temperature gauge. We got a new water temperature gauge. These are the ones that came out. I'm going to keep that Clark one. So we're not going to mess with the amp one yet because we're pretty sure the generator doesn't work. We took it down, had it tested, and the guy said it started charging, then it stopped. So we're just going to get a rebuilt one. We're going to run this one for now to get it started, and then we'll order a rebuilt one so we can have a fully charged, or we can charge batteries. Before, all we did was put new batteries in it all the time, and that gets old. So we're going to make it so it can charge, so it can have its own battery. So I'm going to get these gauges in. Dad picked up a mechanical oil pressure gauge, but I think we're going to run an electrical one just because it's easier to run wires up, but we'll see. Getting closer. Okay, got some new gauges in here. Dad got the oil pressure gauge done. It's just a mechanical one, and he's got the line already in there, so that's ready to go. Just gotta tie up the oil line. Temperature gauge, I haven't wired that up yet. I gotta find a positive 12 volt source for that. I'm gonna try to use the original wire that is on the sender, or that was on the old sender, see if that works. So I guess that's it for the gauges. We've got the generator back on, and the pump, that's on. The generator we don't think works, so like I said, we've got to get a rebuilt one at some point. Got the coil back on. Got the wires kind of sitting where they go. I haven't really got anything hooked up. We're gonna put a block heater. I think I told you that in the beginning. There it is right there. Couldn't really figure out a good way to mount this thing. This has got to be supposed to be lower than the lowest point in the cooling system, and that's going to be close there. I think it's lower than the. I think that's that used to be, or that's supposed to be a block drain. I think we're going to use it for the heater. We're going to run hoses from that to the heater, and then from the heater out to here, which is this bypasses the thermostat, so it should circulate warm coolant through the whole block. But back to the mount there, that's what I come up with. I just welded some angle iron here to hold this, and it's just slid into there. The mounting points that they wanted you to use is these crappy things, and then they wanted you to put a bolt in here, and it's like, really? I mean, I don't even know if that would even hold. It was a very, very chintzy mounting system, so I made my own. It ain't going anywhere on that, so that's good. Also welded on a piece of square tubing down there for the muffler. The mount is broken. I think it's supposed to go here, but that's broken. We don't know where it's at. It's just easier to weld in a piece of tubing here. And then I'm going to take a big clamp and just clamp the muffler down. That'll take care of that. Gotta route my hoses here, and finish hooking up the wiring and tighten up some hoses and stuff, and distributor, spark plugs, put the muffler in place. Tomorrow we're supposed to be getting a propane tank, so I guess I'm going to start on that tomorrow. I think I'm done tonight. Finish up all these little things there. Maybe Dad can do some of the stuff there while I start working on the propane system. And hopefully this weekend we'll have this thing running.